Hello and welcome to Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Day. Indeed, the nation is split as to whether it's going to be Nkrumah's Memorial Day or if it's going to be the Founders' Day. But as you all know, the president has used his green pen and declared that indeed August 4th will be Founders' Day, as in a collection of founders, and then the 21st of September be Kwame Nkrumah's Memorial Day. And here we are with a split. However, history is being told from an MPP and an NDC perspective. This is Ghana. Flags are defined by political colors. Everything's defined by political colors. Even phrases as to whether something is critical or damaged, all depends on which political side you stand. But so today we want to get a historical perspective of Ghana. And then you, the viewers, would sit at home and think, well, I still think it should be founder or founders on Nkrumah Memorial Day or not. And so going through our list, we found the man who wrote this book, The UP NPP Tradition in National Politics, the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo Factor. And in it is, dates and facts of all that happened before independence, at independence, and after independence. And I know you will enjoy it. My name is Nana Ansakwa IV, the chief of the famous little Republic of Akwemwedu-Masa. When I come, I am talking to Professor H.B. Matheson. Don't move. The genesis, pathogenesis, and revelations of the national liberation struggle. I speak of the Nkrumah, J.B. Dankwa, diviocasm or dichotomy. Now, this is what Professor H.B. Matheson is going to speak about today. Prof, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Nana.
And what an apt opportunity to have you here. And Prof, can you give us a brief introduction into the topic as you have established? The genesis, pathogenesis, and revelations of the national liberation struggle. And so you speak the Nkrumah, J.B. Dankwa, diviocasm or dichotomy.
Once more, thank you, Nana, for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Dear listeners, first and foremost, before I get into the etymology, I will not say semantics, but the etymology or the meaning, the exact meaning of the phraseology we use. Nana, permit me to more or less dedicate this discussion to two of my senior colleagues. That is Professor Adofeni and Professor Nana Eslifi Kunywa of Pan-African Communications University. Okay. Why do I say so? These are people who are my role models vis-a-vis political history. Now, coming back to the topic, the genesis, pathogenesis, and the revelations of our liberation struggle. I speak of the divoicaism or the dichotomy of Nkrumah and that of J.B. Dankwa. What do I mean by this, Nana? The word divoicaism is derived from a Latin word, do. That is true. The two main protagonists. Now, Nana, in your intro, you established that the Ghana political spectrum is divided into those who say founders, even though you didn't use the one apostrophe or main apostrophe. Yes. We as political historians, it is not in our interest to say that this one did that, this one did that. Our main optimal objective as political historians is gingerly tied to nothing other than that spirit of Pan-Ghanaian nationalism, quote and unquote, Who is a Pan-Ghanaian nationalist? A Pan-Ghanaian nationalist is that person, first and foremost, a Ghanaian, who is gingerly poised to see to it that Ghana achieves its political realism, economic realism, and all that Ghana wishes for itself. So, getting back to the topic, within the limits of historical antecedents, before we talk of UGCC, there were political organizations, there were pressure groups before the establishment of UGCC. And in any case, UGCC, by my perception, by my research modus, I would wish to ipso facto establish that UGCC, or United Gold Coast Convention, is a zygote of one, the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, and before the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, born of 1844, the colony started establishing Western civilization until by 1874, when Asantema and Northern Territories were involved. So born of 1844, the Fanti Confederation of Chief Gate IV of Mankasin, 1868-1872. Then the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, under the tutelage or the leadership of William Jacob C. And that was precisely 4th August 1897. Now, permit me to pause here to establish something. Many a Ghanaian, even within the academia, do wish to establish that J.B. Dankwa was part and parcel of the Aborigines Rights Protection Society. Nana will say no. In doing this, it will be deemed, or it will tantamount to a mere manifestation of intellectual hysteria. In the sense that J.B. Dankwa was born 21st December 1895. Aborigines Rights Protection Society was gingerly established by William Jacob Say, R.S. Blay, Mensa Saba, and the rest of the elderly people. And of course, George Alfred Grant, a.k.a. Pa Grant, was a junior member. Because you may recall, Pa Grant was born 15th August 1878, and he passed away 30th October 1956. He was a junior partner. So Aborigines Rights Protection Society established 4th August 1897. Now, after Aborigines Rights Protection Society, next to follow was that of Casely Hayford West African Congress, 1920. Now, something interesting, which many a politician, many an academic had grossed passed by. It is interesting to establish ipso facto that by 1930, J.B. Dankwa had established the Gold Coast Youth Movement. 1930. Then, 4th August 1947, the United Gold Coast Convention was established. Permit me to pause here, Nana. Many a politician would straight away jump to conclusion that this was established by no other person than J.B. Dankwa. I say no. Nana, my book you've just established. That is page 95 of this book, The Birth of the UGCC. J.B. Dankwa was instructed by George Alfred Grant, otherwise known as Pa Grant, to mount a letter inviting the most elitist, quote unquote, among the Gold Coast intelligentsia. In that, Pa Grant had just returned from UK and he had made money. He had bought a ship he licensed as SS Asini by 1920. He was a timber exporter, a gold exporter. So Pargram deemed it that at least it was time for the Gold Coast to have its own political party, for politics to be indigenized. Hence, J.B. Dankwa fired a letter with a date 17 July 1947 to Dr. Edvc Nankabrus, the most senior of the intelligentsia, copying it to 21 other eminent personalities in the then Gold Coast. And this letter
Can I read the letter?
Please feel free, Nana.
Okay. 17 July 1947, and it says, Dear Dr. Nankabrus, in connection with the communique by the organizing committee of the UGCC issued to the press and public this week, can you make it convenient to attend a meeting of a few of us at the Roja Club on Saturday, the 19th July 1947 at 5 p.m. to consider plans for holding a public meeting at Accra next week to explain the idea of the UGCC to the general public. Similar public meetings are being held at Sekondi, Cape Coast, Koforidia, Salt Pond, Dunkwa, Axim, etc. as a preliminary to the inaugural meeting of the United Convention to be held at Salt Pond on Convention Day, 4th August 1947. Your personal cooperation is earnestly solicited. Yours sincerely, J.B. Dankwa.
Thank you very much, Nana. So, dear listeners, this is how the United Gold Coast Convention was born. And this letter bears the name of J.B. Dankwa and 21 other eminent personalities. So now, we may say that by 1947, as it is generally known, Kwame Nkrumah was not yet of the UGCC. This is an interesting development. Nana, many a Ghanaian politician will wish and would like us to believe that.
So let me mention some of the names of the 20.
Yes, please. Yeah? Nana,
Hiniba Setijan, Honorable Akila Pasoya, Honorable N.A. Olenu, Councillor F.A. Bosman, Councillor W.Q.M. Halm, E. Obechebilamte, Aku J. Akufuado, Honorable J. Quist, Thurston, K.B. Ateku, Enoch Mensah, A.Q. Atego, Councillor Richard Akwe, Councillor J.N. Alema, V.B. Anan, E.C. Quest, E.C.A. Kwashi, Dr. J.E. Ama, Solomon Odamting, Joe Myers, and Ben A. Tamaklo.
Good. Thank you, Nana. These were the prominent Ghanaians who were present on that fateful 4th August 1947. And incidentally, they had already met, as you have read, at the Royal Club. That was on the 19th of August, or the 19th of July. 1947, prior to the luncheon. Now something interesting, in the sense that, as stipulated by establishing, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was not yet around. He was still a student. And as stated that many a Ghanaian politician would like us to believe that Nkrumah only got to know J.B. Dankwa only in the Gold Coast when he was introduced to them by Akwaji. I say no. Within the limits of our historical antecedents, within the limits of our research stipulates, it has been established, and I've palpatively established this thing in this book. It had been established that the late Osagifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, whilst a young man in UK looking forward to receiving his visa on his way to begin his studies at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, he got an information that Dr. J.B. Dankwa, R.S. Blay, Tufuhin Moore, Gold Coasters with placards, international solidarity group from the Gold Coast in support of Haile Selassie against Benito Mussolini invasion of Ethiopia. Nana, it is interesting to establish here, ipso facto, that J.B. Dankwa primarily was a Pan-Africanist. J.B. Dankwa initially had the inertia, the zeal and enthusiasm, the desiderata of being a Pan-Africanist. But why he didn't continue, we can tell. And Nkrumah made J.B. Dankwa RSB to Fuhini Mall precisely on 3rd October 1935. My reference, the Pan-African Movement, written by Emmanuel Guess, 1974, printed in UK. And the Emmanuel is spelled I-M-M-A-N-U-E-L. Guess, G-E-I-S-S. Those who may wish to disagree to agree with me should look up for this book. Page 121. J.B. Dankwa is quoted. And we have established it in this book. So here, J.B. Dankwa had known Nkrumah. And when Nkrumah approached them willingly, J.B. Dankwa was introduced to Nkrumah. Then J.B. told Nkrumah, young man, look at what we're doing. When you come back from your studies, join us. Again, when we are told that Nkrumah arrived, that is by the invitation of the senior pioneers of the UGCC, through the fiat and instrumentality of Akwaji, Nkrumah arrived in the Gold Coast 5th December 1947. And he was introduced 20th February 1948 at the Palladium Cinema, Jamestown here. J.B. Dankwa repeated the same dictum he established with Nkrumah then in Britain. So here, J.B. Dankwa and Nkrumah were in good relationship. We not talked of any who is this, that. Nkrumah was just there as a permanent general secretary. Nana, so this is the relationship.
So, as far as who formed the UGCC, and somebody saying Nkrumah, others are saying JB, it's Grant.
Good. The UGCC was formed or established by no other person than George Alfred Grant, Grant. But we may ask politicians, Nana, you and I, we are either in journalism or in academia. But let's ask the politicians, why Grant is never ever mentioned all along. This is the person who founded Nkrumah's ticket to come down. This is the person who put Nkrumah on his salary, that is his pay bill. But we are not all of Grant. Why? It is very simple. Nana, as we go along discussing UGCC, Grant incidentally fell sick. Nkrumah visited Grant at the Axim Hospital 15 September 1956. And alas, by 30th October 1956, some few months to the independence, Grant passed away. So no one had ever mentioned Grant. But it was through the fiat and instrumentality, the instigation of Grant, that fired the enthusiasm of J.B. Dankwa to put up these invitations. And Grant was the chairman. You read the books of Akwaje, the birth and works of Grant. Page 17 of this book, written by Akwaje, published 1992 in Greater Accra here. It is gingerly anchored in this book. So to answer who established UGCC, no other person established UGCC than Grant. But yes, he did it alongside with, the invitees. And of course, Dr. J.B. Dankwa was very, very, very instrumental in the establishment of UGCC. So this is the story.
GCP in our political jargon, what's a GCP?
Good. Nana, this is also another historical missing link. A missing link in the sense that the politicians who are crying hula balayo, this is that. With what party did J.B. Dankwa go to elections? 8 February 1951, 17 June 1954. Of course, 56 elections, J.B. Dankwa was not around. He was ostracized from parliament by Aaron Ofuriata on the CPP bench. Let me answer the question, Nana. GCP stands for Ghana Congress Party. And that was the political party established by Dr. J.B. Dankwa after UGCC had more or less disintegrated. Now, who were the people with J.B. Dankwa? J.B. Dankwa. J.B. Dankwa was the chairman and the founder of the Ghana Congress Party. Ni Ama Olenu was the vice chair. Saki Sheikh, then MP for Takoradi, Sekundi Takoradi, was the general secretary. A.A. Chambers, Alfred Alassane Chamba, that is Ibn Chambers' father, was the Northern Territory secretary of the Ghana Congress Party. And this is how, this political party was established. Those who may wish to disagree to agree with me should again look out for the daily graphic. August 4th, 1952, page 3 at Breku. J.B. Dankwa invites his former colleagues in UGCC to join his new political party. Come 1954, they beat Nkrumah and CPP. Again, August 9th, 1952, J.B. Dankwa insinuates in the Daily Graphic. August 9, 1952, front page, Daily Graphic. Nkrumah fears me and my Ghana Congress Party. He didn't say I'm a UGCC. I'm a Ghana Congress Party. Again, January 5th, 1953. I insist. January 5th, 1953. J.B. Dankwa and Emmanuel Odakwe Obechebelamti, that is the late Jake's father, insinuates that we shall beat Nkrumah come the general elections 1954. So, within the limits of political history, you look at the genesis, the pathogenesis of political party formation. This is how we arrive at the GCP of, J.B. Dankwa. And once more, those who may wish to disagree to agree with us should go to the archives.
Now, let me jump to the Big Six. And you notice that, there was no Northerner or Ashanti, in the Big Six. Here you are, we've written letters to 21 people of diverse, tribes and tribes. So how come that the Big Six has no Northerner or...
Good. Nana,
no Ashanti?
Your questions are always very interesting. It is interesting. Many an academic or politician with historical myopism will jump to conclusion that there was no Ashanti in the Big Six. There was no Northerner in the Big Six. There was no Ewe in the Big Six. Yes. What happened? Those belonging to the Big Six, yes, our ancestors did very well by coming to have, the debacle, the disagreement with Chief Commissioner Collins Ingri vis-a-vis the 28th February 1948, ex-servicemen, revolution. Coming to this question, Nana, you may recall, within the limits of politics in Ghana, the North was faced with that type of so-called direct rule. What do I mean by so-called direct rule? Between 1932 and 1954, the North was not part and parcel of the Legislative Assembly, but they were paying taxes. Asantuma, Governor Ingrid, they call crazy. He burned down Kumasi, 1874. Asantuma was not part of initial Gold Coast. So by 1948, what happened? When the ex-servicemen rioted, It was the few intelligentsia in Accra, few lawyers in Accra, who rushed to their aid. Let's ask. The Yanum Chambers in Kumasi, between 1930 and 1950, we had vibrant lawyers like Sir Asafaji, who was later knighted, OBE. Nkrumah made him the first Ghana High Commissioner.
Asafaji was a lawyer?
A lawyer.
Okay.
And he established the Yanum Chambers in Kumasi. And when he became, High Commissioner, he passed it to NYB, Adade, and then Victor Usu. But because of disagreement between Victor Usu and NYB Adade, Victor Usu had to, ostracize himself and establish his Akonfa Anoche, chambers. This is, by the wayside, Nana. Getting back to the historical antecedents. So there was no Northerner there, no Asantema there. The few people who were around, the lawyers there, they congregated there and they were arrested. So we should not sit down as people in the academia and the media to establish that so and so among these big six, 3 personalities of this come from Eastern region. This is that. No. It is unfortunate. It was how the people who congregated there. After all, in the north, we had the Tolinas, we have the Mumuni Baumias, we have the lawyer Alassans, but they were very far away to come to Accra. And that's as I established in Kumasi. We had the vibrant
So
lawyers.
these guys just happened to be in Accra and on the podium?
They happened to be in Accra and they went there. That's all.
Nice.
Other than that, we had lawyers all over. Especially the Yanum Chambers. It was one of the best in the Gold Coast.
But is it quite significant? I mean, well, it's quite significant that, amongst the big six, you have J.B. Dankwa, Kufuado, Pawili. I mean, these are 3 huge figures, all from the Eastern region, related to the president.
That's right.
Would you say they did anything extraordinary? Why did they appear there?
You see, history is twisted here. Where we should give bravado to certain, senior pioneers of our revolution, we misdirect attention just because of political bravado. Take the case of, our president's father, Edward Justice Dr. Akufo-Addo, Senior. Nana, tell me, in the history of Oxford University, there had never ever been an African combining mathematics with law and philosophy. Edward Akufo-Addo did this. That is our president's father. And he came out with a first class.
Mathematics, law?
Mathematics, law, and philosophy. And when he was awarded the LLD by the Queen, Lord Durham, that is the person who read the citation, mentioned this of his mathematics prowess. Aside that, let me somersault here. The president's auntie, that is the mother's senior sister, qualified alongside the late Mary Grant as the first female medical officers. She had never been cited. Right? Jake's father, who I would say, when it comes to bomb throwing, he was not alleged, he had been involved, he has been inculcated. The Kulungu bomb. It was Edward Akufo-Addo who tried him with W.B. Van Leer and then Sir Akukosa. But then, gratitude or plus should be given to Jake's father because he was the first qualified cleric, bilingual secretary in the Queen's Customs Office, the only African. It's not been mentioned. So he deserves a place there in the customs, but not in the annals of politics. Politics here is somersaulted by throwing bombs. Let's establish this as people in academia. Now, Pawuli, we're just looking at President Pawuli. The late Pawuli had the bravado of being a first-class religious person and a gentleman. Because of his, savoir-vivre, that is his behavior, Nkrumah made him a member of the Volta River Authority Committee to go to London to negotiate, even though he was with the opposition. Yes, J.B. Dankwa. J.B. Dankwa was so hawkish. Anything but Nkrumah should be challenged. But notwithstanding, his West African Times, J.B. Dankwa's West African Times, July 2nd, 1931, J.B. established inter alia that he would not bother, he would not mind his own language. Whoever is chosen in the Gold Coast, whether that person is a dictator, his own words, provided the people accept him, he's comfortable with it. This citation of J.B. Dankwa can be referred to the Pan-African movement by the same Emmanuel Guest, 1974, published in UK, page 125. And in the paper, we can get it in the archives, 2nd July 1931, J.B. wrote.
Let's go back to UGCC, Nkrumah, J.B. Dankwa factor. I mean, what brought about just a split? If one says, look, one independence now, one independence later, why couldn't they agree there would be a middle ground? Why was that such a split?
Good. I would wish to say that the perception here was among the senior colleagues of Nkrumah, they invited him through the instigation of Akwaji to come down. Nkrumah came and they realized that Nkrumah was so ahead, quote and unquote, in the demands for independence. Whereas Nkrumah was instigating, we want independence now. I just say, we can get independence in the least possible time. So again, Nkrumah, when they were arrested and put in prison, all fingers were pointed to Nkrumah. So Nkrumah found out that no, these were not people with whom I can work.
Could they betrayed him?
Again, the betrayal was so severe on Nkrumah. Why? You may recall when the senior pioneers were arrested, Nkrumah was not in Accra here, he was still at South Point. So Nkrumah came here to see what had happened to 5 senior members of it. He was not among the basics yet. Only 5 of them were arrested. So when Nkrumah came, people went to his South Point office, ransacked the office, because he was already suspected of flirting with communism. And so, what happened? They saw letters written by school children to Nkrumah, the Ghana College, Cape Coast, because majority of them, excuse me, majority of them were students who were, excuse me, majority of them were students who were dismissed from Ghana College for demonstrating against the colonial administration, for arresting the Big Six. So, they found documentation addressed to Nkrumah with the name Comrade. So they took these documents to the colonial administration. Nkrumah was severely reprimanded. So Nkrumah found out that no, he was with wrong people. So he has to resign. This is an academic paper. Those who may wish to disagree to agree with us should look out for the writings of Group Captain P.K. Ajeku retired 1988. The Gold Coast, ... her march to independence, page 17. This material is there.
On this note, I'm going to take a quick break, and then when I come back, history continues. I'm sure by you're forming your own ideas by now. Don't move. Well, the genesis, pathogenesis, and the revelations of the national liberation struggle. I speak of the Nkrumah, J.B. Dankwa deviochasm or dichotomy. And it's all in this book, the UP MPP tradition in national politics, the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo factor. And by the time you finish the book, you will be able to form your own judgment. Indeed, the book was written by no other than my guest, Professor H.B. Matheson, political historian. Speaks French, speaks Russian. Let me quickly add that.
Thank you.
Doc, but Prof,
Yes,
you know, so in your, who is the founder of modern Ghana? J.B. Dankwa or Nkrumah? Because that's what the whole nation is somersaulting over.
That's right. It is interesting. Nana, before I answer this question straight away, let us speak as people in the academia and the media and leave the politicians to themselves.
Okay.
History should not be twisted. Every political activist has his positive side and a negative side, has his contribution and a contribution. Before I answer this question, Nana, take the case of running a relay. Both and his 4 other or 3 other members. Someone starts, give it to the second person, then the final baton is given to Bolt. Hussein Bolt goes there, he wins the relay. Do they say that all these 4 cartels, you know, are people? They say, oh, Mbo has won the relay for Jamaica. Good. Now, before coming to Ghana story, American War of Independence for, you know, with Britain. George Washington, who later on became the substantive president, was the one leading the group. But the 2 prominent people who shot Major Pickering at the Bunker Hill were 2 African Americans. That is Salem Poor and Salem Peter. Who has ever mentioned them? But George Washington is mentioned. Just as I have established about UGCC, who took money from his purse through commercialization of a boat named as SS Assini, timber exports, gold exports, and founded UGCC. It was Per Grant. Who has mentioned Per Grant? And when we talk of independence, someone acquiring independence, first, through the fiat and instrumentality of our history, as late back as 18th September 1956, Nkrumah was penciled, was written to by the colonial administration. Choose the name of your country, as you have intimated, because 51, 54, 56, all elections. Prepare for the independence. Again, 9th May 1956, the plebiscite, under the fiat instrumentality of the United Nations Mexican Commissioner, Monsignor Prieto Espionese. Monsignor Espionese. Who were the people who contested? Nkrumah's CPP and that of the TCP, Togoland Congress Party, and of course, National Liberation Movement of Bafose Akoto. For Togoland to come into mainland is. Now, we those, excuse me, Minana, we those who were of age, independence 57, I was 12 years of age. I was in the SS, preparing for SSS. We saw on the rostrum Who were the people there who signed the Independence Declaration? Where were the others? Why they didn't join Nkrumah? So should we be far-fetched? Who won the independence for Ghana? Yes, J.B. Dankwa wrote to the UGCC. He's an Ochiami. He contributed. The others in the UGCC contributed. The market women contributed. The fisher folks contributed. We, the school children who were up and down with, independence cap and sports, we all contributed. So all Gold Coasters contributed to the development of the independence. But only one person signed, and he could be declared the founder, and that is Nkrumah, and no one else.
The other school would say that, do you then wipe out the efforts of all who tried before Nkrumah?
Not at all. It's a misnomer. Let's come in again. Again, let's take this debate further.
So then, okay, yeah.
Now, with due respect, let's take this debate further. The UP tradition is an amalgam of so many political and then pressure groups to Nkrumah. UP came in via the fiat instrumentality of 3rd August 1956, the Avoidance of Non-Discrimination Act, tabled by Nkrumah. So there, we could see that political parties like the Ghana Congress Party of J.B. Dankwa, the Togoland Congress Party of Senyor Gatro Anto, otherwise known as SG Anto, and Kujo Ayeke, the MPP, that is Northern People's Party of Mumuni Baumia, SG Domo, Mumuni Dumbie, Mumuni Kore, E.F. Daramano, and Co. Of course, the Gan Shifomokwe of Ako Nukoi, Ako Nete, and then T.J. Nate. All these political parties and the pressure groups, the National Liberation Movement of Bafose Akoto from Asantima, all came together in a political fusion, in a political amalgam to form the UP precisely on 3rd November 1957 in Gamashi here, which was a Sunday. Again, those who may wish to disagree should look up for Ashanti Pioneer, serial number 5612 of 5th November 1957 front page. A new political party is born. J.B. Dankwa was not there. Buzia was not there. But Bafose Akoto was there. Ara Ramposa was there. Dr. Hampton Mills from Greater Accra here. Ni Ama Olenu, they were all there. Dr. Hampton Mills, who was the initial chairman of UP, had never been forgotten of. Now, J.B. Dankwa should be recommended. Why? He was the only brave person, the bravest of all brave people within the UP tradition, who could come down to contest the presidency against Nkrumah in 1960. And unfortunately, he lost to Nkrumah. So we cannot rule out the contribution of others to Nkrumah. They all did their best, but only one person signed the document for independence.
So if I were to give you the opportunity to, recommend as a consultant to His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa, on these issues, what would be your advice to him?
First and foremost, we have a Martyrs' Day. That is, Pioneers' Day. All of them be recommended. And then, history, political history, should be taught from JSS right down to universities. No, it is interesting. With due respect to our representatives in Parliament, my sincere apology. But imagine someone who has done nuclear science. He's in Parliament. He has never read anything concerning Ghana politics. He has never read anything concerning Pan-Africanism. He is either representing us in the ECOWAS Parliament, or our local parliament here, or South Africa, the Pan-African Parliament. What will be his contribution? What will be his contribution? And perhaps, these may be some of these people who would like to, permit me for a stronger word, to twist or bastardize, Ghana political history for the youth. We are doing a disservice to the youth. Let's leave politics aside. So where do we place them as a consultant? J.B. Dankwa, the Big Six, they've all done their best. No one's contribution was minor. And they should all be celebrated. But one person, signed the Independence Declaration.
So we put the whole under Martyrs Day, and then one Founders Day for Nkrumah.
For Nkrumah.
Nkrumah Memorial Day is not good enough?
I reserve my comment.
No. Reserve your comment on that. Can I put your number out, or is
Feel free, Nana.
Feel free. Okay, so this is Prof's number, yeah? 054 082 7375. 054 082 7375. If you want a book, or if you need Prof to come and speak, or you want more elaboration on history, call Professor. But it's been a wonderful education today, and I'm sure you agree. Prof, thank you so much. My viewers and I thank you a lot.
I thank you too for this opportunity, Nana.
We'll be back to do this all over again. Thank you for watching.